A very warm welcome to you all joining today's session on studying in Canada. As Indian students, you're actually stepping into one of the most exciting journeys of your lives. Exploring opportunities abroad can actually shape your future. Canada has emerged as one of the most preferred destinations for international education thanks to its world class universities, strong career pathways, and supportive immigration policies. In today's webinar, we'll address the most pressing questions you have from admissions and visas to scholarships, work opportunities, and permanent residency policies that the Canadian government is moving towards, especially as many of you were worried about the planned reduction in numbers. My goal today is to give you clarity, confidence, and practical insights so that you can make informed decisions about your study plans. So let's begin by tackling the most popular questions that you asked. The first one, rightly so, should be why should I choose Canada over so many other study destinations as per the current situation? Well, Canada has always been known for high quality education. Affordability is actually is a huge reason why students choose Canada, because if you look at all the various dollar costs, Canadian dollar is pretty reasonable against the Indian rupee. And when you look at the living costs, again, Canada is lower compared to all other countries. And the tuition fees is pretty much reasonable because in fact, all of these institutions that we promote are public institutions and they're heavily funded by the government. And therefore, there's a lot of subsidy, and therefore your return on investment on the dollar that you spend is really high. Also, you get postgraduate work permits for programs that suit the labor market. So you end up choosing programs which are very suitable for labor market, which have stronger pathways to employment. And if you're studying a 16 months master's degree, your spouse is also eligible for an open work visa. Canada has increased the PGWP for 3 years, even for a 1-year master's degree. And of course, part-time work you can do off campus, that's been increased from 20 to 24 hours. That means you can work for 3 full days of 8 hours each. And that makes it becomes easy for an employer to give you 3 days of work as a part-time work. And of course, as per Ontario's workforce, as per a new report, needs 1 million university graduates for the next 10 years to meet the economic needs in key sectors of STEM, healthcare, trades, and education. So choosing the right program is really important if you're going to look for work experience in Canada during your postgraduate work permit. So, and you can also work full-time during the semester breaks. And there is no limit to working on campus. But of course, your priority should be studies. Students generally earn between $17.75 to $25 per hour, depending upon which level of study you're in. Do you have any previous work experience? Based on all that, you get from between $17.75 to $25 per hour. So the next question is, are universities accepting application without IELTS or other English exams in Canada, like UK or other countries? So the short answer is yes. There are some universities who accept applications on the basis of medium of instruction, but there could be some conditions attached. Some of them could be just giving you okay on a MOI. Some of them may say, okay, if you have so much marks in your year 12 English, then it's acceptable. So there are various conditions some of the universities may be adopting. So I think the best thing is to connect with your CANAM counselors. And yes, there are options. So what I'm saying is that it's possible to go on the basis of an MOI if you're applying to a Canadian institution, a university. Next, is the visa rejection rate high for Canada, as we often hear from relatives, social media, and other platforms? Now, this I think a whole lot of you asked this question. So my answer is no, not necessarily. Many students continue to receive study permits pretty successfully, and our success rate has been pretty good. And the reason is because the applications are prepared correctly and aligned with their academic and career goals. In fact, your SOP tells your story to the visa officer. That is very important. Many students think that SOP should be made by your agent or your counselor. Now, that's the first mistake that you'd be making. or use ChatGPT to make your SOP. Now, these things clearly indicate to the visa officer that you have no idea why you wish to study, only your agent or ChatGPT knows. So, in fact, there was a recent ED talk of mine focused on SOPs. So, let's play that for you.
In the past week, we've received hundreds of questions saying how to write an SOP or LOE that actually gets my visa approved. Welcome to today's ED Talk. If you're writing an SOP or letter of explanation for your student visa, listen up because times have changed. What got visas approved 3 years ago won't be good enough today. And if you don't know the shift, even a strong bank balance won't save you. So what was the past trend? Visa officers used to ask one question: do you have the capacity to pay? Can you afford the tuition and living costs? If yes, you were good. Now it's shifted to return on investment. And that means, does this education actually make financial sense long term? Will it give you a real return on investment like a successful career, ability to repay your education loans, and be a successful professional in your chosen field? Or does it look like you're just trying to get out of the country and enter Canada? So, what are officers actually checking now? When you write your SOP, you need to explain these things very clearly. 1. ROI, return on investment. This is really important. Will this course realistically bump up your earning potential? If you're spending 30 lakhs on a degree, please show how it leads to a job or a career that makes that investment worth it. Your financial plan is key here because that's a major part of your investment along with your time. 2. Course relevance. Is this program a logical next step from what you've studied or worked on before? For example, a BCom graduate applying for a master's in finance can say, my undergraduate studies gave me a foundation in accounting and economics. This master's program will deepen my expertise in investment strategies while preparing me for roles in financial consulting. But if you're switching fields, you need a logical reason. For example, although I studied mechanical engineering, I worked for 2 years in supply chain management, and that experience motivated me to pursue a master's in logistics, aligning with my career shift. So it's not that you can't shift lanes, it only means you need to give a logical reason why that program. Of course, it's got to be something that's true, verifiable, or at least believable. 3. Career progression. Does your study plan actually lead somewhere better? Is the labor market looking for these skills? Visa officers want to see a clear path. Past education, to this program, to better role, higher salary, new skills, and filling skills gap. Here's an example. My bachelor's in computer science introduced me to foundational concepts in artificial intelligence such as machine learning, algorithms, natural language processing, and data structures. During my final year, I worked on a capstone project that involved building a predictive model for customer behavior, which sparked my interest in applying AI to real-world problems. By pursuing a master's in artificial intelligence, I will gain advanced expertise in areas like deep learning, computer vision, and reinforcement learning. These skills are in high demand across industries such as healthcare, finance, and e-commerce, where AI is driving innovation. My career goal is to work as an AI engineer in multinational firms like Google, Microsoft, or Deloitte, where entry-level salaries range between 12 to 18 lakhs annually in India. This trajectory not only ensures a strong return on investment for my education, but also positions me into solving complex problems such as automating medical diagnostics or optimizing supply chains. I plan to leverage this knowledge to establish AI-driven solutions in India's growing tech ecosystem, aligning my education abroad with meaningful career progression at home. How does that sound? Good? Okay. 4th is genuine intent, the final nail. Are you a real student? Or is study just an excuse to migrate? Your SOP needs to sound like you care about the study program and its career outcomes, not just entry into the country. Here's another short example. My long-term goal is to return to India and join the growing fintech sector. This amazing PG diploma program offers specialized courses in blockchain finance which are not available in India. This knowledge will help me contribute to India's digital economy. See, different ways in which you can indicate how this education would be of use to in Canada and back home in India. I also get asked, why do people get refused? Today, even students with strong finances are getting refused. Why? All the reasons that I spoke about. The course doesn't make sense for their background. The career progression is vague. Future earning potential looks weak, especially when you say you will return to your home country. And here's the tipping point or the deal breaker. Your study plan looks copy pasted or AI created. Money alone doesn't prove intent anymore. Your story has to do the job. Here's the key takeaway. Remember this. You need a strong academic and career story that connects the dots. All ends tight, no unexplained gaps. And if you think there's a weak spot, be brave, take the challenge head on and simply go ahead and explain it. Everyone has a weak spot or two. You just need to make it a part of your story. And how do you do that? Well, 1. Pick courses with clear career outcomes and avoid random downgrades, regardless of how many friends or relatives ask you to choose it. For example, there seems to be a sea of students these days wanting to do early childhood education. Why? Because someone has told you you can get an easy PR after that diploma? That's it? So you decide to choose that program? Do you even know what it entails? Do you think you have the patience and skills to deal with tiny kids and educate them? Are you even interested in that job? What career growth are you expecting out of that? The visa officer is watching. And if you don't have all the answers to these questions, don't complain that Canada is refusing visas. 2. Build an SOP with logic, not generic stuff. Every paragraph should answer why this, why now, why here, what later, etc. Connect your past education, your future goals, the country you're choosing, and your home country. Make it one coherent story. And if you do that, your SOP stops being a document. It becomes your strong supporting story. Visa officers don't want to reject you. They want to be convinced that you are a genuine student with a plan. Give them that story and you're already ahead of 80% of the applicants. DM SOP appointment and we'll book you an appointment with our experts. Follow us on all our socials and stay tuned to the latest on study abroad and see you soon.
Okay, so at CanAm, like I mentioned before, we guide you to select your programs that are relevant to your previous education, and that really is key. It has to be relevant to your previous education, your work experience, as well as your future career aspirations. So, in fact, your visa application should tell your story, and no point in blaming the visa officer for a refusal if you haven't told your story well enough to convince IRCC that you are a genuine student. So, next question is, can I get scholarships in Canada and on what basis? Yes, you can. Many universities and colleges offer bursaries for Indian students, entrance scholarships, merit-based scholarships, program-specific scholarships. All of these are available for international students, and we keep informing our students whenever they apply and they connect with our counselors. In fact, eligibility also varies by institution and the academic performance. Next question, how do I need to pay before filing a student visa? How much do I need to pay before filing a student visa application? Now, there is no fixed answer to this question, as every student's financial situation is different. But let me explain to you the thumb rule of how you look at finances when you do your visa filing. Since IRCC discontinued the SDS, that is the Student Direct Scheme, in November 2024, so paying the first year tuition fee is no longer necessary. And you can apply for a visa after paying a minimum tuition fee or tuition deposit, which is required by the DLI, which could usually be around 2,500 to 5,000 Canadian dollars. And after you confirm your seat, you could apply for a visa. That is possible. However, to strengthen your study permit application, we generally recommend paying the full first year tuition fee along with purchasing a GIC of almost 23,000 as per IRCC to cover your living expenses in Canada. Now, if your program duration is more than 1 year, it's better to show availability of sufficient funds for the full duration of study, whether it is 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. You could take education loans, show bank statements, attach sponsorship letters. There are so many different ways of showing it. Now, how exactly to do all this is something you can fix appointments with your CanAm counselors to get a one-to-one assessment done. In fact, at CanAm, we have the highest visa success rate, and we've been doing this for years and years, for decades. So you should take advantage of our experience and goodwill. Okay, so next questions. How early should we start the Canada study application process to receive our visa decision on time? Ideally, you should start your Canada study application process at least 8 to 12 months. It's like almost a year before the intake start date. That is ideal. In fact, so all of this planning, in fact, should help to ensure sufficient time for sending your complete application, receiving your offer letters, gather all your funding documents, visa documentation, and all other visa formalities. Starting the process early helps you to explore the most suitable programs, prepare strong documentation, and maximize your chances of both admission as well as visa approval. And do remember that you cannot change your DLI, which is a university or college, on the same study permit as per current policy. So make sure that you choose your DLI and program with care. So next question, what is PAL in Canada's study visa process and why is it mandatory now? PAL or Provincial Attestation Letter is an official document issued by the province or territory where you plan to study in Canada. The Canadian government introduced these PALs to manage the number of international students within each province allocated study permit quota. And it also helps international students by supporting sustainable growth and reducing the pressure on housing, healthcare, and other public services. So it's actually great for everyone. In fact, you watch the videos of immigration minister saying it's working, numbers are under control. And the Canadian Prime Minister said that now we're ready to welcome and support international students. It is the best time for you to be an applicant now. Next question. Can my spouse accompany me while I study in Canada? A lot of people ask me this question. The answer is yes. Spouses of students going for some of the listed professional bachelor's degrees and all 16-month master's degrees can get a spousal open work permit. I think you should speak to your CanAm counselor to understand if your program is on the list and if you qualify for those programs and if you're okay with those programs. So meet the counselor and get your listing done. Next question. Are student visas coming through for Canada? Oh my God, I think the maximum number of questions, maximum number of people ask me this question. And answer is yes, of course they are. You heard the ministers, you heard the Prime Minister, and you heard the Canadian High Commissioner to India. They're all saying this is the right time. We are welcoming students, Indian students, please apply. So yes, of course, the visas are coming through, but only for those students who are choosing the right program and who can explain how the program matches the previous education, work experience, and career aspirations. Plus, your language ability is very important. And the availability of total funds required for education has to be clearly explained in the visa application. I've already explained how your SOP should be, SOP or letter of explanation, whatever you call it, how that should be presented. So I think all in all, make sure you meet your CanAm counselor, get advice, and visas should definitely come through if you present yourself as a genuine student. The key is, why are you choosing this program? Why are you choosing the institution? And why are you studying in Canada? Okay, our next question is, if I opt for a master's degree program from a community college, like say Humber or Seneca or Centennial, instead of a university, will I be entitled for PGWP? It's a great question. Yes, any master's degree, irrespective of the duration of the program, if it is from a public institution, a public college, or a university, on successful completion, would lead to a 3-year postgraduate work permit. There are a lot of colleges which are offering master's degrees. There are a lot of universities who offer 1-year master's degrees, 1.5 years master's degrees, and 2 years master's degrees. All of them will fetch you a 3 years postgraduate work permit as long as these are public institution, public college, or a public university, a public DLI. Next question. Will I be able to recover my cost of living by working part-time while pursuing my studies full-time? As an international student, you're allowed to work 24 hours a week during term time, and you can work full-time, that is 40 hours a week, during semester breaks or any vacation, which definitely helps you to earn a substantial amount of money. And it can help you towards some part of your living cost. You can't imagine and you can't think that it will cover all your living cost or cover all your tuition fees. No, that really won't happen. But it will help towards covering some portion of your living cost. But in addition to that, this kind of work also brings you great benefit in terms of Canadian employer reference, experience on your resume, and also an exposure to the Canadian work environment. When an employer sees that you've already had some Canadian work experience, it's very easy for them to check or do an employer reference with another Canadian employer. They do understand then that you have an idea of how to work in a Canadian environment, what kind your etiquette, your behavior, your dress code, all of that is expected in a Canadian work environment. They don't need to teach you. So in addition to the money and the experience you gain, it's also very helpful when you're applying for your work at a permanent job or during postgraduate work permit or even after that. Next question is, my child has completed CBSE 12 with commerce and is interested for higher studies to Canada. I'm confused as to whether to send him for his bachelor's degree or make him complete his graduation in India and send him for his master's. Need your suggestion. Okay. Well, both bachelor's and master's programs in Canada have their own merits. For many students, starting with a bachelor's degree can be a stronger pathway. Bachelor's programs generally offer more seats. They have more flexible admissions. They have very, very generous scholarships because they're generally for 3 years or 4 years. So they do have a lot of scholarships. So all of this makes bachelor's degree programs more accessible to students. In fact, since the students are much younger, it gives them a lot of time to adapt to Canadian academics and culture. It's not the same. The academics in India and academics in Canada or any other foreign destination will not be the same. So if you're younger and you just finished your school and you head towards your degree, your bachelor's degree, you're much younger and it's much more flexible. You're very hungry to learn, experience the new culture. So it's very easy for you to adapt to the Canadian academics as well as culture. Because academics, there is very less rote in the academics. There's a lot of participatory activities in the curriculum. You're expected to contribute to the class discussions, and timing is very essential. That you have to submit all your assignments on time. You cannot miss any assignments. So the culture is a little different. So the earlier you get into the education mode, it becomes easier for you to actually adapt. And it also builds a very solid foundation for future specialization. In fact, we've actually seen a lot of increase in bachelor's degree applications in the recent 7-8 months. Master's programs, on the other hand, are more competitive and often require a very focused academic background in your bachelor's degree. They can be excellent for career growth and skill advancement, but they also have limited seats and higher entry requirements. However, if you're looking at doing a master's degree because it's shorter duration and a bachelor's degree may be a strain on your budget, you could look at regional areas instead of only going to big cities. Obviously, cost of living in a big city will be higher, tuition fees could be higher. So it could be a good idea if you look at regional areas. And because these regional areas have a lot of labor shortages, and they're very highly specialized labor shortages, you should look them up. You should ask your CanAm counselor to look into those areas and see what kind of, for example, a certain area may be very, very, very strong in terms of mining and huge labor shortages in the mining field. So, in generally, there's a lot of labor shortages in these smaller places because they don't have very highly skilled people and they're looking for them. So it could be a great idea if you look for universities in a regional area, the tuition fees and the living cost could be lower. They have a lot of labor shortages, so students may be able to find better part-time work and also long-term opportunities like increased PR pathways in regional areas. And of course, Indian banks do give education loans for bachelor's degrees. So if your child is ready, you could send him or her now. Okay, next question. I'm a student from Punjab and I want a simple answer in Punjabi. Okay. My friends are all rushing to study early childhood education, ECE, or they want to call it early. Everyone says that this is the best program for PR later. But I feel I'm not interested in teaching small children. My father is also forcing me to study ECE. Please help me. Actually, you must have heard that recent research talked about shortage of 1 billion students in the next 10 years in STEM, healthcare, trades, and education. So education is not the only sector that can help you to get employment. Since I cannot speak in Punjabi, let me play a short 1 minute video in Punjabi, which we already had, to answer your question. And you could make your father also listen to it. Shan, can we play the easy video in Punjabi for the student, please?
आजकल लगता है कनाडा ਲਈ सिर्फ ਇੱਕੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ अर्ली चाइल्डहुड एजुकेशन हर कोई कह रहा है अर्ली चाइल्डहुड एजुकेशन कर लो पीआर पक्की है पर रुको ईसीई कोई शॉर्टकट नहीं है ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਛੋਟੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਡੇ ਕੇਅਰ ਅਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਗਲਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਇਹ ਹਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਾਈਲ ਲਈ ਰਾਈਟ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਰਫ ਈਸੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ट्रेड हैल्थ केयर ट्रांसपोर्ट होर भी बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग ऑप्शंस ने पर फिर भी तुसी सारे इक्को ही लाइन 'ਚ खड़े हो तो जो रिफ्यूजल आती है तो कहते हो कैनेडा वीज़ा नहीं दिंदा पर नहीं यार गल वीज़ा की नहीं है गल ये है कि थोड़ी प्रोफाइल लिए बेस्ट ऑप्शन केड़ा है भीड़ के पिछे नहीं अपनी प्रोफाइल के अकॉर्डिंग प्रोग्राम चूज करो वेट ना करो आज ही कैनम के एक्सपर्ट्स नाल गल करो
I hope that was okay. See, EC is a great option if your career goal is to work with young minds, young children. You have a lot of patience helping them with great early learning experience. But if you're only doing this for PR, then it really may not end up well for you. Your passion, interest, and your own career goals should help you to decide what kind of program you want to choose. And remember, when you apply for a visa application, if you really don't have passion and interest in the program and you're just going because a lot of friends are saying or your father is telling you to do or your mother is telling you to do, your statement of purpose or your letter of explanation will not really come out in a very convincing manner. And if the visa officer is not convinced, it would be very difficult to get a visa. There are 1,107 PGWP codes available for your choice. Get it right. There are a lot of programs in the healthcare sector, which are or other kind of programs which are related to younger children. Or if you want to work in whatever sector, whether it's healthcare, STEM, trades, look at all of these programs and see there must be something which is of interest to you and which really drives your passion. I hope that answered your question. Okay, next question. Do the Canadian institutions conduct campus placement drives after the program completion like the way we have in India? Okay. Actually, the public DLIs in Canada, DLIs are actually Canadian institutions, universities or colleges. I'm referring to them as DLIs. The public DLIs in Canada do have career centers to support students. They arrange career fairs, case competitions. They post career opportunities on their bulletin boards. They have information sessions and workshops for resume, cover letter writing. They prepare you for job interviews. All of this, almost all these public institutions do that. But do most students go and take advantage of it? No, not many do that. In fact, I hear most of these delegates who come from these institutions, or when I visit them, when I go to a career center, the complaint that most of them have is students don't come to us for seeking help. And then they say that we haven't got a job. So it's really important that all these services are available to you for free. And you should really go and make use of these services. In fact, they even help with co-op work placements. So in fact, recently the Canadian government also announced that students now do not need to apply for a separate work permit for co-ops or internships, and the study permit is good enough. That's great. So the government is working very hard towards making things easier for the international student who comes to study in Canada. I hope that answered your question. Okay, so next question. My daughter is 18 years old, and I've heard that finding accommodation is difficult in Canada these days. And I would prefer on-campus accommodation for my daughter. Absolutely, great idea. One should do that. Mostly university campus accommodation is almost guaranteed for the first year undergrad students, provided the application is made before the deadline. Do note that deadlines are there and they are very sticky about deadlines. And also the students may have the option to renew the contract later. Colleges have a variety of options, different kinds of housing options to suit different kinds of pockets. You could share, you could stay in a single room, you could share an apartment, you could stay as a guest. In fact, you could do short-term stays also. But then short-term accommodations choices may be a little limited. In fact, I would suggest that you get in touch with the CanAm counselor, get more information on specific accommodation that may be suitable for you or your child. It's important to see that it meets your financial requirement. It meets all other stuff. You want to be close to the campus, or you want to be close to work employers. You want to be, or you want to be right downtown in this downtown part of the city. You want to be away. What is the public transport system like? So, or would you need to have your own car? So I think you should do all of this research before you just decide on something. Staying on campus is great because then it saves a lot of time when you go for classes. Okay, the next question. I, being married, I have a bachelor's degree. If I want my husband to accompany me while I study, is it possible? Yeah, of course. Your husband would be allowed to go with you as a student dependent, having full work rights. If you choose to study a minimum of 16 months master's degree program or a professional bachelor's degree, and since you already have a bachelor's degree, maybe you would be looking for a 16 months master's degree. The list of programs which the bachelor's level would be available with our counselors, and you can connect with them if you want to find out. But all master's degrees, which are a minimum of 16 months, will qualify your spouse to be able to work full time. Next, I've got an admission letter from Brock University for MBA with co-op. Do I need to apply for a separate work permit for the co-op term? I already answered this question. Okay. No, it's not required. IRCC recently announced that this requirement has been waived off now. Next question. My son being 18 years, and this would be the first time he would be staying away from home. I'm not too sure if he can cope with being alone or he may get depressed. I would like to know how the other students of his age manage or handle things independently. Actually, this is a really, really important question, and most people ignore this part of the child's study plan. Mental wellness. Mental wellness is something that everybody really needs to focus on, because at the end of the day, the student has traveled thousands of miles from here, from home, into a different culture, into a different play. The food is different. The kind of study environment is different. The part-time work environment is different. He doesn't have friends. So it's very likely that, the student could feel homesick. We do understand your concern, and we suggest programs of study that would suit the student's academic interest and ability. Generally, we do that. But with all that, child could still feel homesick. Or there could be other psychological factors that are outside everyone's control. So it's very important to tell your child or tell the student. Our counselors do tell them at the pre-departure to seek help, as every DLI has a separate health and wellness support center which encourages and helps students to thrive on campus while pursuing their studies. They have highly qualified staff. They have clinical psychologists. And they keep all your information very, very confidential. So there's no problem. You should go and seek help. If you even simple thing like if you're feeling homesick, you could book appointments, discuss all your challenges, and all your information will remain confidential. And most importantly, these are all part of the campus services for students, so they're free of cost. Okay. One second. As a grade 12 student, what are the things to be kept in mind while selection of program leading to easy pathway to PR in Canada? Firstly, let me tell you that there is no easy pathway to anything. Not even, there is no easy pathway to your studies, no easy pathway to anything. But yes, planning helps. You choose the right kind of program, selection of a program, pick a program which is in demand. What is the meaning of in demand? Wherein there are jobs, where there's a huge labor shortage. And Canadian government has very clearly indicated the labor shortage areas. So pick a program which is in demand area. Try a degree over a diploma. Try opting for regional areas where Canada needs manpower. And also make sure that your language proficiency is high. Your English scores should be good. And if possible, you have enough time. If you've started about a year in advance, try and see if you can also learn French. At least at the beginner's level, come to some level. In a year, you should be able to manage some level of French at least. Because French is an important second language. First language or second language. It's one of the two official languages in Canada. So it would be great if you can also pick up French before you leave. So these are the things to keep in mind. It's not necessary that everybody has to do it, but since you asked, I said these are various things you can try. Okay, what are the benefits of opting for rural locations of RCIP and why? These are actually RCIP, they have 14 designated communities across 6 Canadian provinces. The provinces are Nova Scotia, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia. So they have about 14 places where you can, which are designated communities where there's a huge shortage of young people, huge shortage of people with skills. So if you study in these regions, in the public institutions, for example, in Ontario, North Bay has Canada College, Nipissing University. Sudbury has Cambrian College, Laurentian University. Timmins has Northern College. Sault Ste. Marie has Sault Ste. Marie College. Thunder Bay has Confederation College, Lakehead University. So I just talked about Ontario. Similarly, across the 6 provinces, there are several locations and there are a lot of public institutions in all these places. So if you've studied at a public institution, a college or university, it will help you to get more, because you've lived there, it becomes easier and you would be working there. You do your part-time work there. After you finish your study, you'll get your post-study work permit. You'll pick up a permanent job there. Now, what is important is what program you choose in these regions. You have to look at what programs are in demand in those regions. And based on that, because what we also hear is that at the end of the day, immigration is going to be moving towards different labor requirements in different regions. So if you can plan that ahead, see what kind of jobs are available and look at programs which gives you skills in those jobs. So that's how it will benefit you. And of course, living in a rural or a regional location means that your living cost would be way much lower. So these are the benefits. Canada isn't just another study destination. It's a launch pad for you. It has world-class universities. It has clear career pathways and immigration policies that actually support students. So this really is the moment to act. You've heard the Canadian High Commissioner, you've heard the Canadian Prime Minister, you've heard the Canadian Immigration Minister. This is the moment to act. this is the time to apply. Whether it's a bachelor's or master's, the right program can actually set you up for success. Please plan greatly. And if your money is tight, regional campuses offer lower living costs, more work opportunities, and probably faster routes to permanent residency. So, what is the bottom line? Canada isn't just a destination, it's the beginning of your global story. And Team Can-Am will walk you through it. Thank you all, and see you next month.